Hello, it's me, Elaine from Nabi Wool Studio. You can find me on Ravelry, Instagram, Etsy, Facebook, Twitter, mostly on Instagram, by the way. And I recommend that you follow me there to see all of my FOs because I don't necessarily show them all here on the podcast. And I have a Ravelry group you can join, and what else? That's about it, I guess. So I think I'm coming to you a little bit more recently than I usually do, or I'm trying at least. And yeah, so I'm going to show you a bunch of well, not a bunch. I'll show you an FO, I'll show you a bunch of whips, and we'll see what else. I also wanted to say, as a completely nothing to do with knitting thing, I recommend that everybody watches When They See Us on Netflix. I watched it a couple weeks ago, and it has totally stuck with me, and I think it's very important to see. It's about the Central Park jogger incident in 1989 on my birthday, April 19th. And it's about the boys that were convicted and accused wrongly for the rape and the attack. And these boys were ranging from 14 to 16 years old, and they went to, prison for some of them 12 years. And they decided not to take the easy route and plead guilty and get out and whatever. They stuck with the fact that they were innocent, and they kept their belief and their spirits up, and it's just really, it made me cry many times, and it was really horrifying. It was sad. At the end, these guys are all incredible. I cannot believe that they were able to come out of that and still live a life after and start families and all that stuff. And I'm so glad that they were proved innocent after all of that. So that's just a little aside. Sorry, I just had to bring it up because I really think it's important for people to see, and it was really, really good. So I think it's been several weeks since the last time I podcasted. This is lucky episode 13, and let's make it a good one. I've already tried recording a couple of times this morning, and I actually tried even last week, but again, the voice inside says, don't put it out, it wasn't good, or I messed up, or whatever. But I hope that this one will go live. So this morning, when I was about to actually podcast, I received a package from the Fibre company. I'm in their beta knitting group, and this will be my first one, and I received a bunch of yarn. I'm not going to show right now, and I'm excited to knit this design up, and it's a yarn that I actually purchased before, and have not used it yet because I just haven't had time, but was completely in love with it the minute I saw it. So I'm glad now I have to use it in other colors, the colors that I chose for the project. It's a stranded colorwork sweater, and you know how I love those. So look for that in the upcoming weeks, hopefully. So I have one FO to show right now. I have one FO that's outside right now, blocking and drying hopefully soon, because we actually have sun today, which has been not so easy to find here these days. It's been really, really pouring. My younger son had his birthday on Monday, and he had a great day, even though it was literally pouring most of the day. So here are my socks. These are the Villa socks. They are colorwork cuffs, and I use Nabi Wool Studio for this. It's a Corriedale non-superwash sock yarn for the main color, and then I use just non-superwash wool for the contrast color. Since it's in the cuff, it it doesn't really need to be hard wearing necessarily, so I just used something I really liked. This is from Trin Annelie on Instagram, and let's see, I think she's going to release it in a couple of weeks. I knit the size small. My recommendation to everybody when you're knitting colorwork socks, that you knit probably a size larger than you're used to, because it really doesn't stretch as much. And so these they fit me well actually, but they're a little harder to get on for me because I have a very high arch. So the area between when you pull up your sock when at the heel turn, it's a very high point for me because of my arch. So it was a little bit harder to put on and take off. But they're beautiful socks, and she will have 2 patterns releasing. I think when this pattern releases, it's this and let me see if I can find it. Sorry. I have it all here. It is, I'll show you a picture of her socks so you can see what her version looks like. The other pair will be the Dory socks, and the Dory socks look like that. And this sock, let me find a page that doesn't have any pattern information. There we go. The Villa sock from Trin Annelie. Okay, now I draw papers on the floor. So, that should be coming out, I think, in a couple of weeks. And they're both 2-color threaded. I will try to cast on the other pair, but right now my needles are very, very full. So I finished the Iloq sweater, I think that's how you pronounce it, from Camilla Vad. She pushed up her release date to next week. So I had finished the yoke a long time ago. It was very fast for me, but anything after the yoke goes really, really slow for me, especially ribbing and sleeves. So I was on Sleeve Island for a while, and when I get on Sleeve Island, I try to avoid working on that project. So anyway, but I did finish this morning, and it is out being blocked in the back, and hopefully it will dry soon. But it is a thick sweater because it's stranded color work, and it's marled on the top, or at least my version is. Well, most of the versions will be, I think. And it's a heavyweight sweater, so we'll see how that goes. And something on the fast track for me in one of my favorite project bags that I bought in Edinburgh is my Jennifer Steingass test knit, and this is, oops, I don't want these stitches to fall off, is the Gardengate sweater. It's going to come out probably the end of this month, and here it is. I have finished the yoke and am on the body. So it's 2 colors, and so my contrast color is this color. I hope that I can show you without the glare, but okay, so that's a Falkland, and it is actually a superwash. It was a sample I had, and I wanted to try to see how it would dye up. And then the main color is a Gotland I dyed up, and I'm going to call this gunmetal. So it has a grayish base because of the Gotland. It's a BFL Gotland mix, and so it has like some rust colors and grays and kind of corally, I guess, but that's the main color, and I'm thrilled with how it's coming out. And I should be able to get through the body relatively quickly. And then there's color work. There's 2 options for the sleeve. You could do long or short, and the long sleeve version has color work, so at the cuff, and I will most likely do at least a 3/4 inch sleeve, not 3/4 inch, 3/4 sleeve, if not a long sleeve. And then I have my other test knit here, which is this Alison Bloom. And this is from Kim Firth of the High Fibre shop. And this is the second sweater I will be working on with her, for her. And it is coming along really nicely. I chose to do it with a million colors, which made some of the rows 3 and 4 color at a time. You can do a 2-color version if you want, and there's short sleeve and long sleeve versions, and different body options also. I just finished, I just posted yesterday the Blythe Spirit sweater, which is her first sweater design, and you'll find that on Instagram. I used Jameson of Shetland for the main color. It was Oxford, I believe. And for the contrast color, I used a color called Pistachio, and that was a BFL silk that I hand-dyed. So if you want to see that, that's on Instagram. I do not have the finished object with me. I think I've stored it away already. I think we're finally now almost done with sweater weather here. It's been changing constantly, so it's been a little hard to determine what to wear in the morning, and it usually changes by the afternoon. So that's 2 whips I showed you. There's a secret whip back there that I can't show you. This is my test knit for Yuko Shimizu. And this is the Ember sweater. And so the top is blacker brushwork, and then it's Purl Soho good wool for the 2 contrast colors. So there's color work, there's lace, there's all kinds of stuff going on. And this is going along smoothly. And I had started originally with Biche and Bouche yarn. I hope I pronounced that correctly. But I could not get the gauge, or I did get the gauge, but the fabric was too holey and loose for me, so I'm not really a big fan of that. So I had to rip out and try a different yarn, and I think I'm pretty happy with what I ended up with. And another one that is really close to finishing, but just because I have more, the deadlines for the other sweaters are faster, I had to put this on hold. But this is my sweater that I use, Peace Fleece, for this test knit, and it's for Thea Colman, and I believe it's going to be called Bijou. And yeah, it should be really quick when I finally do get to it, because it is a worsted weight and it's just sleeves, and it should be pretty easy. So I have that. My haul of shame, I keep saying this every single time, is my sweater, that I am knitting for Labienaimee for Amy. As I have mentioned before, that her truck got broken into after a show when she was having dinner with her husband, and her shop samples were all stolen. So I volunteered to knit something up for her, and this is the Eula cardigan. I'm not sure if it's a cardigan because the buttons are supposedly in the back. If you call that a cardigan, I think it's just a sweater, right? And it's using Labienaimee Mondim, the collab with Rosa Pomar. So it's, I had finished the lace actually, and then realized that I did it wrong, because I normally use written instructions, but I decided to use the chart this time, and I did not have it printed out in color, so I missed that the stitch at the end after row 11 is not a repeat stitch. So I did an extra stitch every repeat of the pattern, which turned out to be a lot extra. And so I had to rip back and I'm not sure why I didn't keep count as I was knitting, but anyway, so now I'm using the written instructions for the lace instead of reading the chart. And I like to have both because I like to look at the chart if I make a mistake to see what I did wrong. The chart is really useful for that, but it's easier for me to see written instructions as far as knitting something goes with lace or anything that could be charted or written. So that is the Eula sweater from Isabell Kraemer. I'm in my head, I guess I'm saying all these things, but I may not be telling you guys. Okay, so those are, I believe, all of the most active whips. I have another test knit I need to start, and that is for Jennifer Beal. And that's, now I can't remember what the sweater is called. Anyway, it's a 3-color sweater, and her design is using mocha. And I do have the mocha yarn, but I think I'm going to use something else. I have some options picked out already, but I'm not sure if I'm going to go with that yet. I want to finish at least one more whip before I start yet another thing. And the deadline is further away, and I also can then concentrate on it better if I finish something else. And so that's going to be 3 colors at a time most of the time. So that is a lot more difficult for me, and there's steeks involved, and it's all over color work, and I am really looking forward to it. The top looks amazing, and I'm sure it's going to be fun to knit and challenging at the same time. And maybe I'll look into one of those rings for color work so I can kind of have all 3 at the ready, but we'll see. What else? So I have a trip coming up. I'm going to do the Grand Shetland Adventure with Gudrun Johnson and Mary Jane Mucklestone. And I am looking forward to it, yet very nervous about it, and actually have not thought about it and realized yesterday when I was sending Gudrun my flight details that I actually, on the trip there, I am traveling for over 16 hours. So I still have to book a hotel for part of that because I will be at one of the stops for over 10 hours and overnight. So I probably should go somewhere and sleep. And then, and my flight back here is over 8 hours, and it also is extremely early. So it's going to be a little exhausting, but it will be a trip of a lifetime. I'm really excited that I'll actually get to go to Jameson and Smith and Jameson of Shetland, and I will hang out with everybody there, and we'll get to meet Hazel Tyndall and all kinds of stuff. So when I go, I will post pictures when I can, and I'll definitely talk about it after. The trip is about 4 weeks away, so we'll see if I actually fit in another podcast. Knowing the way I usually go might not happen, but we'll see. With the last podcast, I've had some people request for me to talk about different things, and I said I would. I'm not sure. Some of the things I won't really address. People have asked me if I have a favorite designer. I have many favorite designers, and I don't want to point out one necessarily, but I do a lot of work with Caitlin Hunter and a lot with Jen Steingass, and obviously I love those designers. I love Isabell Kraemer. I've done a lot of stuff with her also, but there really are a lot of people that I really enjoy working with, and I feel that every designer that I work with, I learn something. I think it's really important to work on different things, because you really do learn things, and you can see how you can do certain things many different ways, and some works better for some things and some work better for some people. I've always enjoyed working on any of Yuko's patterns that I've knit so far. I guess I've only finished 3 and I'm working on my 4th. But really, there's so many people out there that I love. My favorite thing to do, basically, I think, is stranded color work. I prefer 2 at a time, 2 colors at a time. 3 is a little challenging. 4 is definitely a lot for me. And I am a thrower. So maybe if I knew I was better at continental knitting, it would be different to juggle that many colors. I'm not quite sure. But when I do stranded color work, I do a combination of continental and English. So my contrast color is usually done continentally because I always use my left hand for that. And my main color is done as a throwing because I use my right hand for it. But yeah, I bought the Craftsy class to learn how to knit continentally, but I never really, I never finished the course. I finished my Nancy Marchand course on brioche, and that's another book that, by the way, I really, really need to get, is the Knitting Brioche with Lace. That just got released, so I need to get on that and order that book. But, and I've seen a lot of the things that she was working on at the retreat last year, so I definitely know there's beautiful patterns in there that I have to look at. And yes, and I'm going to the Liner retreat in August. I'm going to the one with Andrea Mowry, and that one was not released to the public. It was released to the people that had gone to the previous retreat first, and it sold out right away. So then they added the second one with Vera Valimaki. Okay, what else did we talk about? Oh, another thing that people wanted to know more about was the yarns that I like. Of course, I like my own the best. No, I'm kidding. But I do enjoy working with my own yarns because it's fun to see something that you've created come to life. And when you start with something and you see something, it doesn't necessarily knit out the way you had thought it would or think it might look. And it's always fun for me to see it kind of grow and bloom and see all the different things that are in the colors. And yeah, and I get to play with different bases, and that's really fun for me. And the combination of things, of colors that I've dyed and put them together. And I have another idea in my head that I really, really need to find a project for, and hopefully soon. And the other thing is that I know that lots of people think I'm a really fast knitter. I am really not. I'm actually very, very slow, I think. I just do it all the time, and I just like to do it. So I think that is what is making me seem like I'm faster. I do carry it with me everywhere. My kids see me with it all the time. Their friends see me with it all the time. The kids at the playground and the school grounds always see me. I've been approached by many people that have basically come over years after seeing me forever, introducing themselves and saying, "Oh, I've seen you doing this for years now." And so I think that's the only reason why I have so many FOs. It's not because I'm fast and I can't really give advice on how to knit faster. I just do it. And when you keep working on something, you end up with something at the end. And for me, it's really more a process and not the product. I think if my life was maybe a little bit different, I would wear a lot more of my sweaters. But most of the time I put on stuff in the morning out of ease because I have to get the kids off to school. I have to get, all the things that I need to do done by the time they arrive home at lunch, and I'm not busy sitting there thinking about what to put on and how it will look so much as I used to when I was working as an art director. As far as the different designs go that I work on, I do find that a lot of times when I start a project, it transforms on my needles because the colors I pick, and sometimes it really changes the design for me. And a lot of times when it's allowed, I do modify things to make things more my own, whether it's shortening the sleeves or the body, or creating a different shape, making it an A-line or a puff sleeve, or whatever the case might be. So I think that's the beauty of knitting. You can take something that a certain vision and change it and tweak it to make it your own. And that's also really fun when you find a project that you like and you look at other people's finished objects or progress pics and see that it can look so different depending on who works on something. So it's really, really interesting. So I think that's the joy of knitting, and as you tackle each row, how it grows, and you see it changing right before you. And a lot of times I wish it would go a little faster so I can get through some of the things just to see what it looks like. But that's the thing. It's hand done. You do it row by row, stitch by stitch, and at the end you have something. So the other thing is that I do keep telling myself that I want to slow down as far as taking so many tests on, because it's a lot, and the schedule is sort of relentless in certain months, but there's just always new designs coming out that really I cannot wait to see what I will do with it. And it's always fun to cast on a new thing and kind of imagine the spectacular FO that you're going to have, and hope that you're not disappointed when you actually finish it. But I rarely get disappointed. I might not be as jazzed about it when I finish as when I started, but I think at the end of each project there is a lot of joy and a lot of satisfaction from knowing that you made this and you decided how to put it together as far as colors go, or which ones you picked, and it really does change with different fibers and different colors, and just putting your own spin into every single thing that's out there. And I think that it's really great when you can do that, when you can modify things to make it fit better for you, for your lifestyle, for your taste, whatever it is. So I hope that I've answered some questions for people. Feel free to let me know what you would like to hear about. And I hope to be able to share how I feel about certain things and what I know. But really, as far as yarn goes, I basically like working with things that are non-superwash. I like the more natural fibers. They feel better in my hands, and there's something really wonderful about something that's not superwash, that's not treated so much, that's it's basically left as nature intended. So I'm going to leave on that note, and I hope I'll be back soon, and I'll talk to you really soon. Bye.